If you've been watching this channel for a while, then you'll know that in addition to being a YouTuber, I also am the founder of a social media marketing agency. And as a young female entrepreneur, I've been really fortunate to have the wisdom of both my mom and my grandma, who also happen to be entrepreneurs, in guiding my own journey through starting my business. So for this week's video, I wanted to pass along some of that advice, wisdom, and encouragement to you as well, and introduce you to my mom, Karen, and my grandma, Carol. Before we get into the interview and I actually introduce you to my mom and grandma, I wanted to give a quick shout out to the sponsor of today's video, Ana Luisa. Ana Luisa is a jewelry company based in New York City that is super passionate about sustainability and creating really beautiful minimalist jewelry pieces. They create their products out of recycled silver and gold, and they are 100% carbon neutral, which I love. And they currently have a sale going on for Mother's Day. All of their products are currently 15% off. You can check it out at the link in my description. Any of their pieces would make the perfect gift for your mom this Mother's Day, or really for anybody, because I feel like we could all use a little bit of a pick-me-up right now, and they're beautiful pieces that you can feel good about buying. Make sure to order before May 3rd if you're outside of the US, or before May 5th if you are inside of the US, if you want to make sure that your order arrives before Mother's Day. All of the jewelry that I'm wearing today is from Ana Luisa, and if you really see me wearing any jewelry in any of my videos, it's from them because I love their stuff. We'll talk a little bit more about Ana Luisa later on, but for now, let me introduce you to my mom and my grandma. Hi, Mom. Hi, Grandma. Thanks for joining me today.
Hi, Katie.
You're very welcome.
I wanted to start off our conversation actually by Grandma asking you some questions about your early journey as an entrepreneur, because obviously for some of it, I was either very little or not born yet. So I know that you had a flower shop, but I actually don't know when that started or what, like how it kind of got going. So maybe you could tell us like how you first started that business.
The flower shop started actually in a very small way in the greenhouse to start with. I took some night courses at Fanshawe College in floral design for a couple of winters, and started doing flowers in the greenhouse. Did some funeral work, did a few weddings, and that kind of stuff. So in September of 1988, I moved my flower shop to Zurich. Part of the idea of that was because Kevin, your Uncle Kevin, came home from Ridgetown College. He graduated in 1988. He was coming home to work in the greenhouse, and I knew that because your grandpa and I had started the greenhouse business together and had up until that time made all the decisions together, if there was going to be room for Kevin to step in and start being a part of the business, I knew I needed to be out of the picture for a while and make room for him to do that. So that was part of my incentive for moving to Zurich.
I have a question for you now, Mom. So I know a little bit more of your kind of like backstory of different like side hustles and stuff that you had when, like, obviously I was a little kid. More recently, you have gone full-time with your latest entrepreneurial venture, Karen's Kitchen, which opened in like October of 2020. What's something that has been like surprising for you doing it full time? Is there anything, because like I think you saw a lot of like what owning a business would be like before doing stuff part-time, but is there anything that's surprising to you about it being like a full-time thing? And like it's very full-time for you because you're there like pretty much all of your waking hours are at the restaurant except for right now.
No, I knew how many hours I was going to be looking at. I knew, the if nobody else is there to do it, you do it yourself part of that. The hiring people, trying to find good people to work for me has been the biggest challenge, I would say, that I sort of knew, but you don't really know.
Going into it, I know you kind of thought like, oh, well, it might not be that busy. I could just be there by myself or have a girl at the till and I'll be in the kitchen and we could manage it. And then very quickly you realized, oh my gosh, we need more people to make this work because you're so busy. So then hiring was like a big undertaking.
Yes, it certainly was a surprise in that way, especially opening, in the middle of COVID. So there's that. But I think what I was thinking more was that when you pursue your passion and you love to do something, especially if it's something creative, whether it's making a video, designing flowers, or whatever you're doing, you love to do it and you have fun creating it. But the fact of the matter is, if you open a business based on that, you are going to do the same thing day after day after day after day, and you don't get that same creative rush
Yeah,
From the perfect video or the beautiful flower arrangement or that fantastic donuts or
exactly.
whatever.
Yeah.
It becomes a job. And I think that's just like a
Exactly.
lot of people.
I wasn't surprised by that. Right. But when you're 50 years old, like it's not a shock. This isn't going to be fun forever. Right. You still get enjoyment out of it, but it's not a hobby anymore. It's a job. Right.
Yeah.
And so it's so in that way, there wasn't any surprises that way. I knew that not everybody's going to love everything I do. There's going to be some that do and some that go, man, and that's okay. Like that's a difference between being 25 and being 50.
It's sort of funny when you take something that you always did just for fun and now you're like, okay, this is my job. Then you're sort of left thinking, okay, what do I do for fun now? And I think it's hard to balance like what is life and work and how do you like, I don't know, find ways to relax and make sure that you're not just always fully consumed with your business. So I don't know if you both have found ways like over the years to try to relax and then also not just constantly stress about work, because I know like I try to be pretty strict that okay, on weekends I try not to work, except for right now as an exception, I guess, filming this video. But even then I find myself thinking about, oh, I've got to do this on Monday and I got to make sure I ask so and so about this or that, and it's hard to actually fully get a break when you're always thinking about those things.
Just wait, Katie. Give it a few more years and you're going to wake up at 2 a.m. and think of all those things that you should be doing.
Thankfully, I sleep through the night.
I don't think you ever do. I think when it's becomes who you are.
Yeah.
Not that you can never be present in the moment of being away from it, but it's like, I don't know. What do you think? I don't think you ever let go of it. Like not 100%.
No. As I have been working at retiring, it's become easier for me, but it's been a matter of finding people to do the things that I used to do, because I did all the office work. I did all the, like, I looked after all the billing. Or the office work. I didn't necessarily do every little detail, but I made sure it all happened, right? I was on top of what everything was happening. I was also very concerned that there was an awful lot of information here that a lot of people didn't know. And I thought, if something would all of a sudden happen to me, who's going to be able to pick this up? I don't want to leave this in such a mess that they can't figure it out, right? I consciously worked at making a plan.
That's something I'm trying to do in like, I guess, smaller ways. And I sometimes feel a little bit like I second guess myself about it because my business is so new. Like I've really only even had somebody that I've hired just for like 2 years now, I guess. So it's all, but it's growing so quickly. And like, I know that if I would try to do everything myself, I mean, I would be like doing like 3 or 4 full-time jobs. I can't actually do that. But so I don't know. I go back and forth with like, okay, I need to delegate more. I need to like give more tasks to other people. But then I'm like, oh no, it's too soon. You should be working more. Like I kind of go back and forth between what I should do.
Or being content with the job that other person is doing. There's enough in me that's kind of a, OCD sort of person.
Katie knows why I'm
laughing. Karen, it's letting go and saying, I can't do this all myself anymore, and I need to be content with whatever is being done. Not that you can't have some input, but you have to be, at some point, you just have to let it go, and say, okay, I can't do this myself, so now I have to let someone else do it for me. Yeah. That was a learning curve for me, Katie. You get it, honestly.
Maybe all of us here could learn a bit of a lesson from that sometimes it's like, oh, well, if I just do it myself, then it'll be done right. And you
know what's interesting, Katie? You know what's really interesting? That was my mother.
Yeah.
I never made a pie before I was married because my mom could do it quicker.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that sounds kind of familiar.
And there was a lot of work to be done around the house when there's like a family full of like, my bigger sisters were gone by that time, but like 7 or 8 people, right? And so expediency fast is important. And I never got a chance to make a pie before I was married because mom could do it quicker. So that for me has been part of my learning and saying, you know what, I have to learn from that and say, someone else can do it, okay. And if it's not done as fast as I would do it, so be it.
And I feel like that's something that mom has really like come around on too, because, I've been living on my own and feeding myself for many years, but I still sometimes will get pointers from her on how to properly chop vegetables. And I'm like, I'm doing it effectively. But I actually think, mom, you're like, over the past 6 months, you've had to kind of just let go of some things because it's been so busy. You literally can't do it all. So it's like, okay, I'm going to let my staff do this prep for me or do that, because there's no way you could do it all in one day.
Yes. And does that mean that I don't notice that perhaps the tomatoes aren't sliced the way that I would slice them? Of course I notice. But
absolutely.
But does the guy that's eating the hamburger notice? No. So does it really matter? No, it doesn't really matter. Like, there's some things you just have to, because like you said, Katie, I can't possibly physically do it all.
Yeah. And I think also coming to terms with like, we have such high standards for ourselves compared to what anybody else probably has that standard for us. You know what I mean? Like, you're always most critical of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like already there's been lots of wisdom and good advice shared, but I would be curious to hear if you have like one piece of advice or a really great tip that you would share to somebody, like me, who's young and just got started with my business, or to my audience who are watching and maybe don't have a mom and a grandma that have their businesses that can give them advice. What would you say to, like a 25-year-old girl who's getting started with her business? What's like one thing that would have really been helpful to you if you would have like learned it sooner, I guess?
I don't know if I can say if I'd have learned it sooner, this would have been helpful necessarily. But somebody who has an idea that they think will be fantastic and wants to really build it into something, find someone that you can ask questions to, that you can trust. Somebody that you can say, okay, I'm thinking about hiring this person and I'm not really sure. I'm sort of getting this feeling. Like, what do you think? Somebody that will give you honest feedback, that you say, oh, I've got this idea for a promotion and I think it'll be fantastic. That might actually say to you, I'm really not sure that's a good idea. Mm-hmm. Or whatever the case may be. But you need somebody that has business experience that can give you good, honest feedback that you can trust.
Katie, I think for me, the one thing that is probably a little bit unusual in my situation is that I've been an entrepreneur alongside my husband for 54 years. Okay. Or almost. So that's probably a little bit different than a lot of people. But when I was going to go to the flower shop, and then that was kind of my thing, my own thing, I trusted in him to, he's always been a very positive person, right? Maybe to a fault.
Yeah.
At times. But I would always hear, you can do it. You can do it, but what I was going to say in the offset was, because we worked together all those years, then our relationship was a part of our business too, right? Mm-hmm. For an entrepreneur, a young entrepreneur, I would say, make sure that your business doesn't get in the way of your relationship. Mm-hmm. Okay. You got to set your priorities. Okay. Mm-hmm. And while you have to pay the bills, etc., you have to decide, what's the most important here and what's going to get my priority of my time.
Thank you both for spending some time with me this afternoon and sharing some wisdom about the experience of being a business owner. I want to say thank you, and so does the sponsor of today's video, Ana Luisa. So if you want to open up the gifts that I sent to both of you via Ana Luisa, you can check out just a little thank you for being a part of the video.
Oh, okay.
Oh, very nice. Beautiful things.
Oh, isn't that beautiful?
We actually all have a matching one.
I was going to say, that's what you're wearing.
Yeah.
Yes. Very nice. Because I looked at that earlier and thought, oh, I should go put something on.
Yeah. Well, now you have one. So Ana Luisa is actually a really cool, it's an independent jewelry brand that's based in New York City, and their whole thing is about being sustainable. So they use recycled gold and recycled silver to make their jewelry, and they are 100% carbon neutral. So yeah.
Very cool.
Very, very pretty.
Thank you
and
very
for
much.
Mother's Day, that is really sweet, Katie.
Yes.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, that's sweet. Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. Remember to go to the link in my description to check out Ana Luisa's Mother's Day sale. You're not going to want to miss it. And as always, I hope that you are having adventures and following your dreams, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!